Hello Internet, it is I, Malik Aaron, and we are about to do another review, but before that, I got a bunch of stuff from the caves, and a lot of this is not good. Some of you are probably going to look at these movies and probably like, what on earth were you thinking by buying these? But I thought it would be fun, although, fun can be used in any term. So, let me look at this. Okay. So, 8 movies. None of them can be considered good. They either have bad acting, bad writing, a disappointing ending, just a terrible, just being plain terrible. So, the first 2 are sequels, and they are sequels to a movie I recently reviewed. And originally I didn't want to get these sequels because I'm like, I'm going to have to buy them all. But then I realized there is potential in getting these sequels. And I thought of a plan with them. So the sequels I'm trying to get are the Resident Evil movie sequels. That's right, all 5 of them. I got 2. I got Resident Evil Apocalypse and Resident Evil Extinction. These are the only 2 I can really find. Now the others, I really couldn't. I mean, I saw Retribution and the final chapter. I couldn't find Afterlife anywhere, which I thought was weird. But my plan with the Resident Evil sequels is I'm going to review one of them starting from September. So it'll be September, October, November, December, and January. I specifically wanted to end in January because January, of course, is when the Resident Evil 2 remake will be released. And I will buy that, by the way. So it only makes sense to start in September. And it's actually kind of fitting to start in September because with the exception of the first movie and the last movie, the others all open in September. So it's kind of fitting. So yeah. The start of my journey to getting all the Resident Evil movies. It's not going to be a fun journey, but it's going to be a journey nonetheless. The next couple movies are going to be like, whatever. We actually got another horror movie remake, My Bloody Valentine. I might actually review this for like October, because it would be fitting. Now, I mean, everyone knows like Freddy and Jason and Michael. I mean, Halloween's getting another movie this Halloween. So, I don't know much about this, and maybe I might have to research it more, but I heard this is actually one of the better horror movie remakes. And if this is one of the better ones, then man, Hollywood has made some really bad movies. Except for Friday the 13th. That remake, because I actually like that movie because it was dumb, but it was fun. Okay, we need fun movies in our current landscape. So next one is a movie that had it really didn't have much of an ending. That's The Grave with Liam Neeson. Yes, this movie is notorious for its ending because it really doesn't have one. Like, at the very end, you think you're going to get an epic fight, but you don't. And the movie just it's kind of like Birdman, where you don't really know the ending, and it's up for the audience. It's up for the audience to figure out what happened. And although that's kind of smart, but the same way that can really infuriate people. So, yeah, this probably wasn't the best decision for Liam Neeson. Next one is you're probably going to look at this and be like, why on earth did you buy this abomination of film? And it is a movie I actually saw as a child, and it's stuck with me ever since, which is sad. Epic movie. Yes, I know there are a couple more of these type of movies. There's date movie, there's superhero movie, there's vampires suck. Meet the Spartans. I'm not going to go all the way with those movies. This is the first I found. And you're just like, why? Why would you do this? Are you trying to punish us viewers? Us subscribers, you trying to punish us? Well, I don't know. I've never really done one of these movies before. I mean, I did Scary Movie, but that was like a parody of specifically more or less one movie. This is a parody of everything, all just crammed into one not so good package. So, yeah. Ooh, it might actually be fun talking about it. What's next? Ooh, 2 more sequels. But they're sequels to a movie that everyone loves. Or at least most people love. And that's Jurassic Park. I've tried to avoid these sequels for a long time. But then I realized I was going to maybe do them eventually. So why not get them now? And of course, the movies I'm talking about are The Lost World and the one where a dinosaur says Alan, or Jurassic Park 3 if you want to be literal. These 2 things that killed the franchise for 14 years before it got, before we got Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and Jurassic World 3. So yeah. I mean, this movie was... Both these movies have problems. Man, this one, it's because like this girl can do gymnastics and it actually comes into play in the movie and it's the dumbest thing ever. And this movie, of course, has a raptor saying Alan, and that just totally jumped the shark for the whole series. Yeah. So those are our 2 more sequels. And this one is the crowning jewel of crap. It is a movie I hate so much. It is honestly one of my most hated movies ever, or at least of the decade. That is a movie that none of you probably saw or even heard about until now. This monstrosity, Seventh Son. This movie was a cluster of so many things. And you know what, I'm going to save my talk for this I'm going to save my thoughts about this when I actually review it, because I have a lot to say about this. So yeah, that is all movies I got. You can say that really none of these are good at all. And yeah, some of these won't be reviewed as automatically. Some are actually, like the Resident Evil movies are more long-term things, long-term projects. And My Bloody Valentine can technically be that too. And also, I do have Predator, but I actually want to review it when the new Predator movie comes out, because it would make the most sense. So, yeah. Those are all the movies I got. So our actual review is a movie that was a bomb. No one really remembers. But we're going to talk about it anyway. Because it's from Michael Bay. Everyone's favorite filmmaker. A filmmaker notorious for his over-reliance on explosions, special effects, instead of, characters and story and logic. This movie is the same. It's The Island. And believe it or not, this was actually Michael Bay's first bomb. Yes, this movie bombed at the box office. And some would blame that for a very poor marketing campaign. But honestly, I just think it just wasn't... Well, it wasn't really a good movie. But has that ever stopped Michael Bay before? At least, until Transformers 5, where people finally said, enough. We've had enough of you. We're not watching this anymore. So, yeah. This movie stars Ian McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Christopher Robin himself. And Scarlett Johansson. This is before she was Black Widow. And before the disaster that was Ghost in the Shell. And of course she's been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons that I don't want to get into, because I don't want to get into that discussion. But, yeah. So this is a sci-fi movie, right? And it's... Honestly, when I was watching it, I was like, okay, I was getting into it in the beginning, and after a while, I was just like lost, and I was like, you know what, I can't keep up with this. I was just, ugh. And fun fact, this was made before Michael Bay got the Transformers gig, and where he ran that series into the ground. So, yeah, another little fact for you. So, if you want to read the back, or at least the description of the movie, or at least some type of description, you can go read it. So, this is from the director, Michael Bay. You know, Armageddon, The Rock, Bad Boys 2, Pearl Harbor, all great films. Well, The Rock is considered his best movie, period. Comes an action-packed thrill ride that's an explosive, mind-blowing assault on the senses. That's not exactly a good thing. Pretty sure that's not. So Ian McGregor and Scarlett Johansson lead an all-star cast. This movie's cast is actually kind of good. You got those two, plus Jimajin Hansu, you know, the dude from Guardians of the Galaxy. Sean Bean. That made me sad. I was like, Sean Bean, why would you do this? You're better than this. You were in Lord of the Rings. Come on, man. But he was in Jupiter Ascending too, so it's kind of his own fault. Michael Clark Duncan and Steve Buscemi. So this is not a bad cast at all. So as residents of an isolated high-tech compound, right? But when they discover they're actually clones, wow, way to spoil the movie before you even watch it. And worth more dead than alive, they stage a daring escape. Battling an unfamiliar environment and an armed team of mercenaries in hot pursuit, they'll risk their lives and freedom to save those they left behind and reveal the truth about the island. Spoiler alert, the island is fake. It's all a lie. And the movies show that in the trailers, and I'm starting to really see why this movie didn't do well, because it spoiled everything in the trailers, and you don't want to do that. I don't know why so many studios think it's a good idea to showcase all the information in the trailer. I mean, look at, because that worked out great for like Terminator Genesis. Remember that? It's terrible, horrible decision. And to some extent, Ant-Man Wasp, while I liked that movie, it honestly showed way too much in the trailers too. So, and Spider-Man Homecoming also showed a little too much. Although it did actually hide stuff in the trailer, from the trailer. So, it doesn't get a complete, it doesn't get like a complete, I don't know if I would put that in the same category, but it did show off a little too much. This movie just did, and So our characters, Ian McGregor and Scarlett Johansson, they're a bunch of people on like this futuristic place that's supposed to be futuristic, yet it still has an old school Xbox logo. Oh yeah, this movie has product placement. You thought the product placement of Man of Steel was blatant? You ain't seen nothing yet. One of the first things you'll notice is Puma on the freaking sneakers, and I'm like, wow, Michael Bay, do you have no shame? So this movie has a lot of product placement, and it really shows. It's so blatant, and it's so shameless too. See, our main two characters are on this thing, in this little area where it's supposed to be an island, like an island where we're all supposed to be happy and relax and live a futuristic life. But then they realize, wait, some things here don't add up. And then they figure out they're clones. And so they escape. And they're and the whole rest of the movie is them trying to escape, going through car chase and action scene after action scene. And it's just a Michael Bay movie at its finest. So pros and cons. Pros, some of the car chases are pretty cool. There was one in particular where a bunch of dumbbells, and these are big dumbbells, they fell out the freaking truck, or like the car, and one of those cars just got demolished, just decimated. And I was like, oh, that was actually really awesome. So there's at least that. There's one redeeming quality. Yeah, some of the action, although it's very shaky. But it's still somewhat exciting compared to the rest of the movie. And yeah, I mean the action. I mean, say what you want. Say what you want about Michael Bay, and yes, I've said a lot about him, but his action stuff isn't too bad. His script, oh yeah, it's not good, but his action is pretty solid, mostly. And also, this really isn't a pro or a con, but it's just another thing to point out. There's lens flares. A couple lens flares. So, he did it before J.J. Abrams made it a thing. So, there you go. What else? The music's okay. The acting is fine. But that's about it. Cons. The story. It starts off somewhat interesting, and then it just devolves, and then it just becomes completely uninteresting. And you're just watching it, and you're just like, why am I still watching this? I could be watching something else. Something with more quality. But whatever. Yeah, the characters have no depth at all. You're supposed to care about them. And if you don't care about your characters, then you made a horrible mistake. And that's one of the problems Michael Bay has. He really doesn't know how to do characters. And I wouldn't even call it sad. It's just like, oh, it's just Michael Bay doing his thing again. Who needs characters or plot or logic when we have explosions and action and effects and hot women? Who needs any of those things? Because I have, all my qualities, and it's just, I don't like it. Yeah, some of the action is some of it is good, but some of it's not good. And of course, the product placement is just so blatant, and it just shoves down your throat that it's just unbearable. That's all I have to say, because I really don't have much to talk about for this movie. So, I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 10. Yeah, 3.5 out of 10. It's not a good movie. Even though someone will say this is one of his better movies, I still think it's not good. So, if you like Michael Bay movies, then you should try it. But if you don't, then stay away. That's The Island. Next review. I have no idea. Now I got all these new movies. I can start, and there's also some movies here I haven't reviewed yet. I mean, there's a couple in there I haven't done. Let me see. 8 Mile's been sitting there for the longest time. It's Gotham Knights, Gladiator. Gladiator's 3 hours, so I don't know if I want to go through that. It's Ghost Rider, Glorious Bastards, Flashpoint Paradox, Kick-Ass 2, Ghost Protocol, Napoleon Dynamite, Passion, Christ, Percy Jackson, Pirates 3, Predator, Quantum of Solace, The Ring, Scott Pilgrim. I did all the prequels. Unbreakable, and the Triple X movies. So there's a decent amount I can do, plus the movies I just bought, so yeah. I guess we're just going to have to find out when it happens. So make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. I will see you all next time, and I am... Oh, that's great. I am out.